Today, we're going to talk about scale, and not the kind that's in your bathroom. Whether it's fixing your figures or talking about effect parts, it's all about quality of life with Steven's Toy Tips. Hey collectors, it's going to be Steven here, and I see this topic brought up a lot in the collector community across pretty much all different properties, whether it's going to be vinyl figures, big statues, even action figures, and that topic is the one, the only scale. How big a figure should be. And we all collect different scales, right? There's like the general run-of-the-mill 1/12, 1/10 scale, commonly 6-inch, 7-inch, 8-inch. We have 3 here. We do have like a 3-inch scale, 1/6 scale, a whole bunch of different names and so forth. But what we're really talking about here is going to be specifically how big a figure is and what folks mean sometimes when they say something is out of scale and whether they prefer something to be in scale and what they're talking about. So I think to begin the topic here and to sort of introduce the idea is we're going to talk about Godzilla, but then I'll also bring it in for some folks who don't talk about Godzilla and they don't collect kaiju with Dragon Ball as well, because I think some of the recent Dragon Ball figure arts, there are some folks who are a little upset with scale as well, and I think that would kind of wrap everything up. So what we have here, again, is going to be different scale of Godzilla figures, and these are all the same Godzilla sculpt, 1989. So what we have here is the SH Monster Arts, the NECA, and the Super 7, okay? So with that being said, each one of these is going to be in their own respective scale. So each one of these Godzillas, though, is supposed to be 80 meters. This is meant to be an 8-inch figure. This is going to be in a 15 centimeter or 6-inch line, and that's a 6-inch tall Godzilla figure. So what do we have? Well, this is the interesting thing. This is going to be in its own scale, so this figure is going to scale well, hopefully, with other Super 7 Toho Ultimate figures. BioGoji over here, the NECA, well, that is a special guy, and we'll bring him back in because these two are really going to be the ones we're going to focus in on for this section. Alright, so when we talk about scaling, there are two things that I think can be accepted for what collectors like. There is going to be actual scale, and then there's going to be relative scale. So for those of you who aren't familiar with Godzilla, if you're watching this, so this way you can get an idea of what reviewers or what some collectors are talking about when it comes to scale, when we talk about Godzilla and him being 80 meters in this suit design, relative scale, okay, that means that Godzilla, this is the best way that I have it described to me, and the best way I like to talk about it is Godzilla is going to be shoulder height across designs. As we know, over the how many years, there have been many different Godzilla suits that have been made. So with that being said, let's say we take a MonsterVerse Godzilla, right? So we have Godzilla versus Kong Godzilla, okay? So we can see that this guy is going to be in relative scale with the NECA. However, the SH Monster Arts, as we can see, he's going to be smaller. But something to take note of, if we go by actual scale, he's going to be more than 100 meters tall. But this one is going to be 80 meters tall. So which one is going to be in actual scale? Well, we're going to have this guy over here. Now, something that folks do take issue with is that when we do talk about actual scale for some lines, if we take another smaller Godzilla, for example, like this Godzilla 1962, who also conveniently fought Kong, he's going to be just about 50 meters. So you can see that when we do the actual scale check, if he's going to be 80 meters and he's going to be 100 meters, you can kind of fudge that and say that's acceptable. But if he's going to be 50 meters and he's going to be 80 meters, you can kind of see that these two are about the same height, but he is absolutely not. So then that begs the question, are they in actual scale? And the answer there is going to be no. But how about relative scale? Well, if we consider that Godzilla should just be one size, then, well, I suppose this Godzilla 1962 is roughly fine enough. But then again, we'll go ahead and move this BioGoji out of the way from 1989, and we'll bring this one back in, and I say we're pretty good there. But to really bring this in a bit better, we'll go ahead and remove this Godzilla suit, and we'll bring in the one from Final Wars. so you can see a better example of what we're talking about for relative scale. So you can see all of the shoulders pretty much line up for relative scale. So that's going to be 100 meters. That's going to be a little bit more than 100 meters, and that's going to be 80 meters. But if we were to talk about actual scale, then he's going to be in the middle. He's going to be bigger because he's bigger than 100 meters, and he's going to be smaller. So then we'd switch out for the monster arts, which is just over there. So hopefully that makes sense. If we're talking about relative scale, then we're talking about basically an anchor point, if you will, for one character that's going to have a consistent size across different designs that we know is gonna be the waypoint, the guiding point, if you will, for how big characters should be, and then we base everyone else off of that. So for an example, if we have an enemy that Godzilla is going to fight, like King Ghidorah or Mechagodzilla, he should be able to fit in with pretty much all of the Godzillas that are going to be in the SH Monster Arts line, or NECA is going to make any 6-inch scale Godzilla figure. Now, something like Super 7's going to make with their 8-inch line, that's not going to be in a 6-inch scale line, so we know immediately that's not going to fit. So that is what folks mean when they say scale for this certain particular reason. If we were to take an actual sizing again for a Showa era Godzilla, he would be 50 meters and he would be at 3 inches, not 6. So, how does Goku fit into this mess when we talk about relative scaling, considering it's Goku? He's the same Goku that we know and love. Well, he does change forms, and he faces a whole bunch of different aliens and different species and so forth. Well, he does have different transformations, and the big issue with scaling is you're going to have other Dragon Ball characters like Broly and Cell with his different forms and so forth. And with those different transformations, whether it's going to be the manga or the anime, we're going to have different panels, we're going to have different episodes, and we're going to have, even if it might be different animators from scene to scene, we may have some inconsistencies. So at that point, what do you do for scale? Well, unfortunately, there's going to be a lot of debate in the community for what works best for you. So, for an example, with the Dragon Ball GT Super Saiyan 4 Goku, there's a lot of discussion that he should be bigger and he should definitely be bulkier than any of the other Goku figure arts that we have. However, there is one scene at the end of GT where we see Goku walking and he's in multiple forms as he continues to walk, and we see that Super Saiyan 4 Goku is about the same size as he is throughout the other forms, so he doesn't really change size. However, it's generally accepted that Goku and Gohan are about the same size when Gohan grows up, and Goku is seen to be much bigger than Gohan, bulkier. I mean, when I say bigger, I mean bigger overall. So we have inconsistencies within the source material itself. So for that, I'm going to say, is it good enough? You can only answer that question. And with that out of the way here, that is scale. So what did we learn today, kids? Well, first and foremost, there's going to be what we call relative scale, which means that basically there is one size for a character, and that's going to be usually the main character of the franchise, and that character is going to be one size fits all. For an example, when you line Godzilla up, the multiple incarnations of Godzilla, let's say for the shoulders, they're going to be the same height across all of the shoulders. So you line them up, if you draw a line from the tops of the shoulders across them all, they're going to be the same size. That's relative scale. For actual scale, if we have a 100-meter Godzilla, he's going to be at 6 inches. If we're going to have a 50-meter Godzilla, he's going to be at 3 inches, so on and so forth. Then we talked about characters who have inconsistent size across the source material, manga, anime, whatever the case may be, like Goku. And then when you have those instances like that, basically, that's going to be back to you whether or not you feel the sizing is good enough or you don't like it at all. You can also really take that in consideration when we have really big characters like maybe Shenron or Cell Max, and you can find something that is on the market that can be somewhat comparable, and you can just throw it way in the back of your display, and you can be happy with that. I mean, that's what I do. Alright, well, I hope you found this video helpful. in understanding what folks mean when they talk about scale for their preferred action figure line and when they say something is in scale or something is out of scale, and maybe help decode exactly what someone may say, and also help move the conversation forward for ways to communicate with each other. Because remember, communication is the shared meaning between two people, and culture is the overall establishment of communication of multiple meanings, basically. That's going to be it. Thank you for watching. Now we're going to go ahead and switch on over to the end of the video with an end card here. So this way you can check out some other videos. As you know, Dragon Ball, Kaiju, whatever you like to see, I got videos of it. Thanks again for watching. I'll catch you in the next video.